It's time to get your news on. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
It is the national news for week commencing June 1, 2025. And this week, WIA Director Lee Moyle, VK3GK. WIA's AR Magazine's Editor-in-Chief, VK2ZRH Roger Harrison, and new RAOTC correspondent Peter, VK7PD. I'm Graham, VK4BB, and there's lots more in this week's WIA National News Service.
This news originates from the Wireless Institute of Australia. Dreaming, believing, achieving.
This is WIA Director Lee Moyle, VK3GK. Last Wednesday evening, the WIA Board convened and elected this year's office bearers. This is done on the first meeting after the WIA AGM has been held. President is Scott Williams, VK3KJ. Vice President is Peter Schrader, VK4EA. Secretary is Peter Klee, VK8ZZ. Congratulations to all on your positions. The WA Board has proven to be a very cohesive team which works well together alongside all the WIA volunteer committees and working groups for the benefit of all WIA members. The AGM held in Bendigo in early May had several questions asked of the Board, and one in particular was about the WIA Grants Program. Given the WIA's current consistent and positive financial position, the Board has decided to reinvigorate the Grants Program. Keep a lookout for some welcomed and exciting news on this to be released shortly. Interest from WIA affiliated clubs to host the AGM next year has already been received. This is excellent news as the WIA will work with the successful host to make it a fun-filled weekend for all attendees. If you have some special skills or feel that you can offer one of our many committees some of your time, then please contact the WIA office to lodge your interest. A number of WIA members and directors attended and have recently returned from the Dayton Hamvention held in Xenia, Ohio, USA. If you enjoy hamfests, then this one needs to be on your bucket list. Hamvention is not just a hamfest, it's a ham radio conference with the classic flea market, to evening dinners for different interest groups, including the DX dinner and contest dinner, where this year about 500 people attended each evening. Individuals and groups are given awards, such as D-Expedition of the Year or inductions into the D-Expeditioners and Contesters Hall of Fame. During the day, Hamvention has a continual stream of forum talks in several auditoriums and function rooms. The topics are various, with interest for everyone. This year was another exceptional weekend, with near-perfect weather and a record number of attendees over the three-day event, officially being 36,814. Amongst those numbers were three WIA directors, President Scott Williams, VK3KJ, Chris Dimitrovic, VK3FY, and myself, Lee Moyle, VK3GK. Whilst at Hamvention, we met with ARRL CEO David Minster, NA2AA, IARU President Tim Allen, VE6SH, and several of the other IARU member society officials. Discussions included the new IARU proposals to amalgamate youth in amateur radio, increasing membership and retention of members, along with numerous other topics. Meetings on Zoom sessions is great, but actually meeting in person adds a higher level of friendship with our peers. The recent proposal from IARU to amalgamate the three IARU regions, Region 1, Region 2 and Region 3, has many talking and proposals taking place. The WA Board, along with IARU Region 3 officials and other delegates, will be meeting shortly to discuss different options for the future of the IARU structure. Important news for WIA affiliated clubs is in the coming weeks, the WA Board will announce the date for the next Club Information Zoom meeting. If you have any topics for discussion or questions for the meeting, please send them to WIA headquarters in Bayswater via email. For now, 7-3 from Lee, VK3GK.
This is Editor-in-Chief of Amateur Radio Magazine, Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH. I sincerely trust that those members on what is known as the early list have thumbed through the latest issue and decided which article they're going to read first. All right, I confess, there's no early list. Once the Ready Rat magazines left the mailing house last week, it's all up to Australia Post. If you're waiting, you can always download the electronic issue, which was posted to the WIA webpage early last week. For those of you who believed that working the long path to Europe on 6 metres was pretty much the ultimate DX, or perhaps moon bounce was in that class, you may have to think again. This issue, we have an article on receiving signals from NASA's Deep Space Network spacecraft with amateur equipment. Trevor Benton, VK4AFL, relates how he went about receiving signals from spacecraft in the vicinity of Jupiter. And no, he doesn't do it using a gigantic dish on an ugly tower in his backyard. Trevor's come a long way since the days when he wanted to hear Sputnik on 20 megs with a shortwave receiver. For those of you philosophising over the state of amateur radio today, past WIA President Justin VK7TW has penned a thoughtful article about how the popular digital mode software suite WSJT and its successor WSJTX has democratised amateur radio, invigorating activity among existing licensees and empowering potential newcomers to become involved in the hobby. Stepping back a century, Fred Swainston, VK3DAC and VK4FE, tells a tale from the historic QSL Bureau about Radio Hero 3ZN, before the days of our VK call sign prefix, was at the forefront of using ever shorter wavelengths 100 years ago. Yes, folks, there's always something new and different to read about in every issue of Amateur Radio magazine. More guts, less gab. Serving Australian amateurs since 1933. Proudly produced and printed in Australia. I'm Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, for WIA News.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's national news service. We are VK1WIA. Now with international news, Jason, VK2LAW.
Hello. First up, from the ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio reports that the US House of Representatives have just passed a massive reconciliation bill with spectrum provisions relevant to amateur radio. Within 2 years, not less than 600 megahertz must be identified from between 1.3 and 10 gigahertz for reallocation to commercial use for broadband services. With regard to amateur spectrum, the bands that potentially could be subject to consideration for reallocation under this legislation are 13 centimetres, 2300 to 2310, and 2390 to 2450 megahertz, and 5 centimetres, 5650 to 5925 megahertz. It is to be emphasised that these provisions have been passed by the House, but key US senators have not agreed to some aspects and have stated their intention to modify these provisions as the bill moves through Senate consideration. Still with the US government, we've mentioned in the past how VOA and other broadcasters have been forced to close after decrees by the Trump administration. One eagle-eyed WIA national news viewer, Peter Marks, VK3 Tango Papa Mike, has directed us to an ABC Radio National Rear Vision program, an excellent documentary about VOA's history and contribution. You can hear it on the ABC Listen app or search for ABC Rear Vision VOA to find it on the web. Sedona is an Arizona desert town near Flagstaff that's surrounded by red rock buttes, steep canyon walls and pine forests, and radio-wise is considered very quiet. Sedona resident Richard Factor has spent a lifetime using ham radio to contact every country on Earth except for North Korea. He's now hoping to connect with other planets after SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute, installed 2 laser SETI stations on his roof to scan the skies for laser pulses originating outside the solar system. Laser SETI is a constellation of instruments, so it's basically identical stations that we're putting at several places around the world, so we can search for laser pulses coming from extraterrestrial civilizations. Laser SETI project manager Frank Marchus, PhD, said. We can assume that if a civilization is more advanced than us, they have developed this technology that allows them to create powerful lasers, and those powerful lasers could be used to communicate between stations, or to basically accelerate a spacecraft. If you look in the sky, if there is such a civilization, we may be able to detect them if we're aligned with the line of sight of their laser. To South Africa, the results of the May 2025 RAE were communicated with the candidates on Saturday 17th of May. Unlike here, over there, only a few set examination dates annually. Noel Zulu Romeo 6 Delta X-ray, the RAE manager, says that 70 people paid to write the exam, but 17 of these people did not arrive at the exam centre. 48 candidates passed the exam, with 5 candidates not making the grade. Well done to the successful candidates, and all the best to the candidates for the next exam, not until November. From newsreader to newsreader. Unlike this WIA National News Service, which has a singular team reading for Australia and the world, in the UK, each transmitter has its own reader. So, as you would imagine, a huge drain on resources. One such reader is Anik. Anik Morris, Mike 0 Hotel Delta Echo, began reading the news for GB2RS in July 2004. To listeners, her weekly broadcasts may sound the same as any other newsreader, however there's one fundamental difference. This is because she is a white stick operator and uses a Braille computer to enable her to read the script live on air. Before each broadcast, Anik will download the script using a laptop computer which has screen reading software installed onto it. When this is complete, she transfers the script using a memory stick onto her Braille computer, which she then uses to read the script on the air. The Braille comes up under Anik's fingers line by line, and she uses cursor keys to operate the Braille display, which navigates her through the document. According to minutes released from a recent ARRL Executive Committee meeting, ARRL has suggested that its influence with the IARU could become limited should the proposed IARU restructuring plan be adopted. Within the current structure, ARRL serves as the International Secretariat of the IARU Administrative Council. This gives ARRL the ability to nominate both the President and Vice President of the IARU Administrative Council. Member societies from each country then vote on the nominations. The current IARU restructuring plan suggests a flatter structure that gives direct power to the member societies in the form of a General Assembly. The member societies would elect officers and board members directly without the nominations put forth by ARRL. In short, ARRL would transition from nominating officers to simply being one vote out of roughly 160 member societies that make up IARU. In the meeting minutes, ARRL noted that the League is the primary financial backer of IARU and had calls scheduled to further discuss the matter. For WIA National News, in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
We are VK1WIA. Now, operational news with VK4FUQ. Felix.
Hello there. Contest-wise now, 2025. Russian WW Multimode Contest. 1200 hours Zulu, May 31 to 11:59 hours Zulu, June 1 UTC. CWSSB RITI, BPSK. 160, 80, 40, 20, 15, 10 metres. Next weekend, VK Shires Contest, 7th and 8th June. Now, before entering, you have to read a few web pages. Probably the easiest for listeners will be to read this week's text edition of this WIA National News, and visit the VK Shires page under contests at wia.org.au. Why? Updated rules and current Shires lists are both up on the WIA website. The links, of course, in the text edition. I have also uploaded a simple contest checklist for anyone interested in trying a contest for the first time. Also, links to the latest logging software is given. The preferred logging programs for this contest, N1MM and VKCL-4.15. The contest is open to home and portable stations, including single operators, rovers and multi-operators. Then remember to upload your Cabrillo 3 log. NZ Straight Key Night will be held Sunday 8 June from 0800 hours to 0900 hours UTC on 80 metres. VHF UHF Field Days Winter 2025, Saturday 21 June through Sunday 22 June. IARUHF World Championship. The 24-hour IARUHF World Championship starts at 1200 hours UTC on Saturday 12 July and ends at 11:59 hours UTC on Sunday 13 July. Trans-Tasman Low Band Contest 19 July. Year to Contest 2025, 19 July, 29 December. RSGB IATA Contest, July 26 to July 27. Remembrance Day Contest. This contest is held every year on the anniversary of the end of World War II, in honour of the Australian amateurs who lost their lives in wartime. Next contest 16th and 17th August. Oceania DX OCDX Contest. The OCDX contest is Oceania's only international style contest, where contacts with stations all over the globe are able to participate. The contest runs over the first 2 full weekends in October and has SSB, CW and SWL categories. Now the DX window to the world. Celebrating the Georgia Amateur Radio Club's 75th anniversary, 4 special call signs have been activated by DARC until 31 October. DC7, D5D, DD7, DK7 and DR75 DARC. QSLs by the Bureau or direct to DL2 VFR. It was 25 years ago, but we do remember you. A special event to honour the victims of 9/11. New York City, Shanksville, PA and Washington DC. September 06, 0001 UTC, ending Thursday, September 12, 23:59 UTC. Many members of the Alabama Contest Group will activate K4A for the 5th year. This year's event will be called 9/11 We Do Remember. SSB, FT8, CW and RTTY on all bands 160 through 10 metres, including white bands. 8K3 EXP is on the air until October 13, 1.8 MHz to 10 GHz. Draws attention to the Osaka World Expo. Well, you may not work them, but you may hear them. Once again, Italian radio amateurs have been authorised to use the 40 MHz band until the end of the year. They are allowed to operate from 40.660 MHz to 40.700 MHz with a maximum power of 10 watts. The Italian regulator has given permission until 31 December, also for 70.1, 70.2 and 70.3 MHz. For WIA National News, I'm Felix VK4FUQ Inningham.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, special interest group news with Bruce, VK3FFF.
And a very good day to you. Worldwide special interest groups, astronomy and wireless weather. We begin this week with word that a US task force, by its own admission, is ill-prepared to cope with the wide-ranging impact of a solar storm. This news comes on the anniversary of the Gannon storm, the most powerful geomagnetic storm to hit Earth in 2 decades. Several critical failures came to light at the conclusion of a 2-day drill conducted in early May to assess US agencies' readiness in such a crisis. The drill staged a simulated crisis of several CMEs hurtling towards Earth, creating widespread power and communications outages, radio blackouts and radiation hazards for NASA astronauts on a lunar mission. According to the report, government agency protocols were shown to be weak and without effective inter-office coordination. The report praised the exercise for identifying these issues and called for, among other things, development of an advanced warning system and sophisticated space weather satellite systems. Worldwide special interest groups, Final Frontier. Are you an Aussie school thinking of having a contact with the ISS? Maybe the go-to group would drop an email to secretary@amsat-vk.org. Also, it would be a good idea to keep an eye and ear on current contacts taking place. Many times, a school may make a last-minute decision to do a live stream, or, heaven forbid, run into a last-minute glitch requiring a change of their live stream URL. But ARIS has you covered. You can always check live.aris.org/ to see if a school is live streaming. And, as always, if there is an EVA, a docking or an undocking, the ARIS radios are turned off as a part of the safety protocol. Starting on June 12, 2025, the NASA Spot the Station website will no longer provide ISS sighting information, per a message recently sent out. This means no information on sighting opportunities provided on the website, nor will users subscribed via the website receive email or text notifications. Instead, anyone interested in this kind of information will have to download the mobile app for iOS or Android. AMSAT reports that the repeater aboard the Hades ICM satellite will be active. Starting this month, June, the FM repeater will initially be active on Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays, 145.875 MHz uplink and 436.666 MHz downlink. Separately, Hades R is in continuous operation with a 145.925 MHz uplink and a 436.888 MHz downlink. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, IOTA. ZC4RH is on the British Sovereign Area on Cyprus. IOTA number AS004 from the 14th through to the 20th of June, using CW, SSB, FT8 and FT4 on 40 through to 6 metres. See QRZ.com for QSL details. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Military, the UVB-76 buzzer. Have you heard it? This Russian shortwave station has transmitted a monotonous buzzing sound since at least 1982. Broadcasting on 4625 kilohertz, the signal occasionally interrupts its distinctive buzz with Russian voice messages consisting of numbers and names. Nobody outside Russian military circles knows its true purpose, though theories range from maintaining communication channels during nuclear attacks to tracking atmospheric conditions. The station briefly went offline in 2010, only to return with increased activity that continues to baffle listeners worldwide. And not only, but also Cuban spy number station HM01. Currently active, this digital number station broadcasts automated Spanish number sequences alongside bursts of encrypted data. The signal originates from Cuba and is believed to communicate with intelligence agents operating in North America. These transmissions continue unabated, suggesting ongoing espionage activities. The station uses modern digital modes alongside traditional voice numbers, showing the evolution of these secretive communication methods. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Philately. Luxembourg issues postage stamp for IARU's centenary. 100 years ago, Radio Amateur du Luxembourg was among the organisations representing radio amateurs from 23 nations at the founding of the International Amateur Radio Union in Paris. Celebrating the centenary and showing pride in Luxembourg's role, the Post Philately of Luxembourg has issued a postage stamp and a matching postal card marking the anniversary. The stamp will be released in the weeks ahead and will be available for purchase at the Radio Amateur du Luxembourg booth at Ham Radio Friedrichshafen later next month. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Radio Amateur Old Timers. We at the news desk must thank Clive, VK6CSW, for his many years of never failing to deliver the Old Timers section here. We say that as this week the new old-timer on the block joins us, Peter.
Hello everyone, this is Peter, VK7PD, reminding you that tomorrow is the first Monday of the month. Time for the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club of Australia June Bulletin to go to air. This month, as well as the latest club news, first up is an article entitled Why CDs Failed the Test of Time, read by John, VK3MK. This will be followed by a timely reminder regarding a subject that seems to have fallen into disuse these days, and that is on-air etiquette, read by Ron, VK3AFW. In addition, there will be details on the upcoming Perth RAOTC luncheon. Everyone, RAOTC members and non-members alike, are most welcome to listen to the program and join in the callbacks afterwards. Full details of all transmission times and modes can be found on the RAOTC website at www.raotc.org.au or just Google RAOTC broadcasts. If none of the transmission time suits you, you can download the audio file at any time from today from the club's website. Once again, tune in tomorrow for the June RAOTC Bulletin. Enjoy the program and please join in the callbacks afterwards. 73 from Peter, VK7PD.
Thanks and welcome, Peter. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Radio Amateur, Young Timers, YOTA, Alec, VK2MV.
Thank you, Bruce. A 9th grader from Ukraine has developed his own technology for manufacturing antennas for controlling UAVs. The world of electronics was discovered for youngster by his father, who became his mentor and scientific supervisor. The boy assembled his first device at the age of 7, so amateur radio became one of his many hobbies. At the age of 11, with the support of his parents, he received an amateur radio license and the corresponding call sign, which allowed him to work on the radio. We won't share his call sign out of respect for his safety. Since then, the world has lost its borders. The lad in a war-ravaged country can now forget the war while communicating with radio amateurs around the world. Like most radio amateurs, my dad and I made all these antennas and additional equipment ourselves, gaining new knowledge and experience, he said. The schoolboy was prompted to search for new technologies by the war, namely the urgent need to manufacture antennas designed to control UAVs on non-standard frequency ranges and via a repeater. According to this young ham, there is an advantage of his technology to allow for manufacturers of lightweight and durable antennas with high precision, not only in the form of flat structures, but also in the form of complex three-dimensional models. Such an antenna is extremely flexible and does not require special expensive equipment, and the process from theoretical calculations of a new product to receiving a small batch of antennas takes less than a day, the 9th grader added. For WIA National News, I'm Alec, VK2MV in Sydney. Now back to you, Bruce.
And thanks to you, Alec. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, software for hams. PortablePlanner.com is a web application that allows portable satellite operators to calculate their transmit and receive frequencies and find mutual passes. The web application can be added to your iOS and Android devices and can be used offline. This application should help portable satellite operators easily determine what frequency to transmit and receive at on a linear transponder satellite when operating without computer control. I'm Bruce, VK3FFF from sunny Bendigo.
This is VK1WIA. All points of contacts from today's news stories are to be found in print when you read the web editions, wia.org.au.
Social Scene, it's at 8. And next weekend's events in VK2, the Oxley Region Amateur Radio Club's 49th Annual Field Day Weekend, Warhope Showground, June 7 and 8. And in VK5, the Surg Convention and Fox Hunting Championship.
G'day, it's John, VK5 DJ for the Southeast Radio Group. The Surge Convention and Fox Hunting Championship is nearly here. The fox hunters are prepared and the program is set for the 7th and 8th of June, but now it's a reminder for day trippers on Sunday the 8th of June who are interested in stocking up on goodies, including new gear from two very well-known retailers and, of course, the pre-loved gear on the trading tables. It's a great time to catch up with the people behind the voices. On Sunday, doors open for visitors at 9:30 a.m. Remember to bring your home brew for the competition. Simple or complex, every exhibitor has a good chance of a prize. Check out the Convention 2025 Surge webpage for details.
Thanks, John. Now, until next week, I'm Graham, VK4BB, editor of your WIA National News Service. Walk softly.
This has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
Courtesy of Bevan, VK5BD's ATV and YouTube channel, this has been WIA National News. We're back now, live and local, and your voice, your callbacks. And don't forget, tick like.
Greetings, listeners. This is VK3OTN, the official station of the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club of Australia, with this month's news and information bulletin for members and friends of the club for June 2025. I am Andrew, a VK3 Charlie Alpha Hotel. Details on when to hear the news and information bulletins are available at the club's website, www.raotc.org.au. VK3OTN is available on a wide range of radio platforms, HF, VHF and UHF, along with 2 metre repeaters, amateur television, DMR, that is digital mobile radio, and D-Star. These news broadcasts are available for download for up to 6 months, just in case you missed the original news broadcast from the RAOTC website. Just put RAOTC into your favourite search engine. If you'd like to contact the club, then why not send us an email? Our address is raotc@raotc.org.au. I hope you enjoyed this month's news broadcast. Here's the latest club news for June 2025. AX prefix. A special event prefix of AX can be substituted for VK on occasions of national significance, for example, the Sydney Olympic Games, and each year on Australia Day, Anzac Day, and World Telecommunication Day, which is May 17 each year. It was great to hear on air some members using this prefix. New RAOTC website. The new website is up and running, with several committee members having made input, as well as to publish new information as it comes to hand. This has been a concern of mine for quite a number of years, as up until now there was no one able to fill in for me in my absence. If you haven't given it a look as yet, then why not check it out? Most of the information is the same as the older website, but arranged slightly differently. If you've got any constructive comments on how to improve or otherwise organise the information provided, then why not drop us an email to raotc@raotc.org.au. Whilst on the subject of the website, hopefully many members will have tried the new download service to access an electronic copy of OTN, all in colour. Don't forget, you'll need your membership number and access code, both of which are printed on your address label in order to download and view the latest editions of OTN. Step-by-step instructions are on the how to download your electronic edition of OTN are located on the back page of the latest edition of the club's journal. For those listeners that aren't members of RATC, you can go to our website and download a sample copy of OTN, the club's journal, edition number 70. Simply go to www.raotc.org.au and on the main menu click on Old Timers News. Also is a sample copy of an article from the latest edition of OTN. And now, if you're not a member, you can see what you're missing out on. Overdue subscriptions. When I get a bill, I usually pay it pretty much straight away. Many people put it under a fridge magnet, and every time they go to the fridge for something, it is there in their face, annoying them. The only exception I might have is the big ones,
car rego, council rates, home insurance and so on. There are a very small number of people who never ever, as a matter of principle, settle their accounts until they receive the second and final notice, even though they are financially rather well off. The interest they save wouldn't even pay for a spoon of instant coffee, let alone the energy needed to boil the water. There are quite a few members who haven't renewed as yet, and the renewal notice should have been enclosed in the latest OTN. Committee, along with our paid-up financial members, would be greatly appreciated if you could attend to this in a timely fashion. For the benefit of those that only pay after the reminder notice is sent out, it lays extra work onto our membership and or administrative officers, costs the club time and money sending out reminder letters, and places an unnecessary financial burden on other members of the club. Although I don't post many letters these days, the latest check this week reveals that it now costs $1.50 to post a letter. Add to this the cost of printing the individual letter, folding it by hand, putting it into an envelope and posting it to the mailbox. All of this has to be done manually. If 50 members decide to pay on the Never Never, well, you do the math. That's $75, plus envelopes, plus individual addressing, and so on and so on, and add time and inconvenience to whoever is doing it. Melbourne lunches. The most recent Melbourne lunch was held at the Caulfield RSL on the 27th of March. There were 2 presentations, so members got 2 for the price of 1, so to speak. The main presentation was by Nigel, VK3DZ, and entitled Radio Australia, CSIR and the Ionosphere. This covered an activity that I wasn't aware of, and that is the Radio Australia site at Shepparton was used for moonbounce experiments using the Radio Australia broadcast antennas in the middle of the night on the 15 metre band. The other presentation was by Peter Marks, a VK3TPM, and covered the unveiling of our new website. Both of these presentations were recorded by Mick, a VK3 Charlie Hotel, and are now available to view online for those that were unable to attend. Simply go to our website, select lunches, and then select recordings, and this will take you to a link where they are available via YouTube. Perth Luncheons. The popular and well-attended monthly luncheon for RAOTC members and friends in and around Perth are held on the second Tuesday of each month. Please note the venue change. The new venue, 7 Mile Bar and Bistro, was a success, with 13 members turning up for a very enjoyable lunch for the May luncheon. The consensus at the end of the day was that the new location suited most of the members and the food and service were excellent. The vote was to return next month, so the venue was booked for Tuesday the 10th of June. The 7 Mile Bar and Bistro is at 501 Wanneroo Road, Balcatta. Their website can easily be found by googling 7 Mile Bar and Bistro. In addition to the main menu, a seniors menu is also available. There is ample parking available in the adjacent car park. The venue is located on Wanneroo Road near the Reed Highway intersection and is readily accessible by car. Since Wanneroo Road is a main thoroughfare for the northern suburbs, public transport via bus is also a viable alternative. The appropriate route and timetable information can be accessed from the Transperth website. Alastair, VK6ATX, is coordinating the lunch, and it would be appreciated if Alastair could be notified of those planning to attend to ensure that adequate seating is provided. We look forward to seeing many of you at the June RAOTC luncheon. Alastair's email address is VK6 Kilo India Foxtrot at bigpond.com. Once again, VK6 KIF at bigpond.com. Request for help. Recently I asked if others would step forward to help out, with some of the long-term serving members not physically able to continue. Peter Dowd, a VK7PD, has offered to record the monthly promo that goes out on the weekly VK1 WIA national broadcast. Peter has been a member of the WIA almost as long as I've been alive, so this help is really appreciated and allows Clive Wallace, VK6CSW, to ease into retirement. We are still after someone to record promos for the local News West broadcast, and being News West, they should ideally be located in VK6. New members and silent keys. Today I am pleased to welcome the following new members to the RATC. Barry Theodore, VK3 Bravo Radio Tango, became full member number 1887 on the 11th of April 2025. Eric Dunn, VK3 Echo Delta, became full member number 1888 on the 18th of April 2025. Paul Mitchell, VK3 Zulu Tango, became full member number 1889 on the 11th of May 2025. Alex Zabara, VK6 Alpha Lima Kilo, became full member number 1890 on the 16th of May 2025. And finally, Mark Dixon, VK6 Echo Zulu, became full member number 1891 on the 22nd of May 2025. The committee looks forward to you enjoying a long and rewarding membership of the RATC. I'm pleased to report that the membership officer isn't aware of any silent keys since the last broadcast. And that's about all the club news we have for you this month.
You are listening to VK3OTN and associated relay stations. VK3OTN is the official station of the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club, Australia, Incorporated, with the monthly news and information bulletin for members and friends of the club.
This month we have a couple of interesting technical articles for you. First up is an article entitled Why CDs Failed the Test of Time, read by John, VK3MK. It seems like only yesterday most of us heard for the first time the clarity of CDs and the total lack of snap, crackle and pop and other noises. For me, that was 45 years ago. This will be followed by a timely reminder regarding a subject that seems to have fallen into disuse these days, and that is on-air etiquette, read by Ron, VK3AFW. So now, let's hand the microphone over to John, VK3 Mike Kilo.
Why CDs failed to stand the test of time, from the website How To Geek. CDs were the most popular method for listening to music for over 20 years. Unsurprisingly, something new eventually came to take over. But then something old did too. It's completely normal for a new technology to rise to prominence and then get replaced by the next new technology. Music is one industry where this is played out over and over again. However, the CD is particularly interesting because it totally obliterated the old guard and then fell behind it again later on. That almost never happens in the world of technology. The meteoric rise of CDs. When CDs were first made commercially available in the 1980s, vinyl records were already on their decline. Phonograph records, like vinyl, had essentially been the go-to method for listening to music since the early 1900s, but cassette tapes took over and stayed on top until 1990. That's when CDs became the most popular form of listening to music, and their popularity can't be understated. At their peak in December 2002, CDs accounted for a staggering 95% of all music sold in the US. For comparison, the previous frontrunner, cassettes, only peaked at 55%. CDs had become more popular than practically any music standard before it. But why did CDs have such massive success? Well, there's a number of reasons. 1. Sound quality. CDs offered a much clearer and more dynamic sound with no background noise like hisses or pops. 2. Durability. CDs were far more durable than vinyl, which could easily be scratched, or cassettes, which could get tangled. 3. Convenience. CDs were much smaller and easier to handle than vinyl, and you could easily skip between tracks, unlike with cassettes. 4. Storage. CDs could hold more music than typical vinyl records or cassettes, allowing for longer albums and bonus tracks. The only other music standard that may have been more popular in its heyday was vinyl, but during the CD's reign, vinyl sales plummeted to a measly 0.2% of the market. As we'll find out later though, vinyl was not ready to go away for good. Digital comes to take over. As much as CDs had going for them, something new and improved eventually came along. That is, digital music. In July 2011, CD sales were surpassed by digital downloads. 3 years later, CDs fell into third place as they fell behind streaming, which would take over the music world by the end of 2014. Digital music offers several advantages over CDs and other physical media. 1. Convenience and portability. Digital music allows for instant access to your music. No need to go to a store or wait for shipping. Huge libraries of songs can be stored on devices smaller than a portable CD player. 2. More affordable. Downloading individual tracks often costs less than buying a whole album on CD. Streaming services offer access to vast catalogues for a monthly fee, much cheaper than purchasing multiple CDs. 3. Features. Digital music allows for the creation of custom playlists, algorithms for discovering new music, and easier ability to collaborate on music with friends. 4. No physical media. You don't need to devote physical storage space to all of your CDs, and there's no risk of damaging a digital music file. As of mid-year 2024, digital music is the dominant force in the industry. 84% of music revenue in the US is through streaming. It's far from perfect, but streaming is simply more convenient and cost-effective than CDs. That's what matters to most people. A new standard comes along and the old standards fade away into nothingness. However, in the case of CDs, it's not that simple. Somehow, vinyl returned. CDs are unique because they've actually had two opportunities to be popular, which almost never happens in technology. You'll remember that vinyl sales dropped to about 0.2% of the market during the height of CD popularity. But as CDs started to fall, vinyl sales slowly began to rise again. In May 2019, vinyl sales in the US officially passed CDs once again. A decade after CDs had completely dominated the market and shrank vinyl sales to nearly nothing, they ended up behind them again, and it didn't stop. As of mid-year 24, vinyl sales are more than triple CD sales. Vinyl stood the test of time, but CDs didn't. Why is that? 1. Unique sound. Many people find the sound of vinyl to be warmer, richer, and more authentic than the digital clarity of CDs. To many people, a CD sounds no different than streaming. So if they're going to own physical media, they want it to offer a different experience than what they can get on their phone or PC. 2. Nostalgia. Vinyl was popular for a much longer period of time than CDs, so there's more nostalgia attached to it. Even if you're not old enough to have purchased vinyl on your own, you may have memories of your parents and grandparents playing vinyl records. 3. Tangible experience. In the digital world, vinyl offers a physical and tactile experience that CDs lack. The ritual of placing the record on the turntable, dropping the needle and flipping the record over all contribute to a more intentional listening experience. It's the difference between instant coffee and barista-made coffee. 4. Presentation. The larger format of vinyl records makes them perfect for presentation. It's as much a piece of art as it is music. If you're going out of your way to own physical media, it might as well be something that looks cool to put on display. 5. Collectability. Vinyl records, especially limited editions or vintage pressings, have become highly collectible items. This has also led to the growth of a community around record collecting and listening. For all the above reasons, this has not happened with CDs. Will CDs ever make a comeback? While streaming reigns supreme for its convenience and affordability, music lovers are drawn to physical media for the opposite reasons. Vinyl offers a more tangible and ritualistic experience that people enjoy despite being more expensive. CDs ended up in the awkward position of being a physical media format that's too similar to digital music. The story may not be over yet for CDs though, as more and more people become annoyed with subscriptions and streaming companies' poor treatment of artists. CDs offer an easy and affordable way to get high-fidelity digital music files, far better than digital downloads in some instances. Did CDs fail to stand the test of time, or have we not waited long enough? Only time will tell. This article was by Joe Fedua, first published in February 2025.
Thanks very much, John.
You are listening to VK3OTN. VK3OTN is the official station of the Radio Amateur Old-Timers Club, Australia, Incorporated, with the monthly news and information bulletin for members and friends of the club.
And now, over to Ron of VK3AFW.
Hello, members and listeners. My attention has just been drawn to some conduct unbecoming of a radio amateur. There is, regrettably, a small number of amateurs who are going beyond the bounds of reasonable, considerate and civilised behaviour. I support the Hiram Maxim Code of Conduct for the radio amateurs as published by the ARRL, which states, "The radio amateur is a gentleman." I am old-fashioned enough to reject on-air crudities and hard swearing and verbal abuse and attacks on individuals. I believe 99%, if not more, of the RAOTC membership would agree with me. So this is addressed to the 1% or less who might stray from time to time. When I was first licensed, Z-calls were subject to some ridicule as not being real amateurs. Later, the novice grades were subject to the same thing. Now, the foundation licensee can get a heap of rubbish dumped upon them. This is quite unfair. For goodness sake, these guys and gals have passed a test as stringent as some of the earlier real amateurs underwent. It is a foundation licence, and we should welcome these newcomers. And if they have a background as a CB operator, so much the better. They are upgrading. Many well-known amateurs of today first went on air without the encumbrance of a licence. They sometimes chose their own frequency, well away from the amateur band. Pirating. We should not hold that against them now or in the future. Mostly they were quite young and often got their amateur licence before getting a driver's licence. The RAOTC aims to promote fellowship amongst radio amateurs. This means not denigrating the other bloke because, for example, he can't do 35 words a minute on CW, or write HTML code, or isn't able to build a 2-metre diameter parabolic dish on the kitchen table using scissors and a tack hammer. The criticism of others for their lack of qualifications, etc., is often a sign of a poor self-opinion and a need to boost the ego. It is immature. It is against the spirit of amateur radio. What do you do if you're in a net and someone starts a rant? You can simply say you don't support those views and address another topic. Don't get sucked into participating in abusive behaviour. If the bad behaviour persists, sign out. Politely, of course. Then go and have a cup of tea. There is a big black knob on most sets. If you don't like what you're hearing, use the knob to find a better frequency. There are plenty of kilohertz for rational discourse and chit-chat. If the behaviour you hear is really bad, and you believe action is required, then record it and send the audio file by email to the ACMA, along with the details of the date, time, frequency, and any other information that may identify the miscreant. The ACMA will make a dispassionate decision on whether to take action and what form of action to take. Otherwise, be like the majority of RAOTC members and make sure your own behaviour is impeccable and show some tolerance and understanding. Encourage the newcomer and enjoy the company of the other ladies and gentlemen on the bands. So, until next time, I wish you good health. Much DX. 73.
Thanks very much, Ron. OTN on disc. Are you aware that the entire collection of OTN is available on disc, delivered right to your door for the minimal cost of $25? The files are all in a portable document format or PDF and can be viewed on any tablet or desktop PC. As time moves on, you've probably noticed that over the years you tend to hoard a few things. When something new arrives home, you have to find room to keep it. Well, why not consider adding the entire collection of OTN? The really good news is, it won't take up any space at all, and it won't provide any food for the silverfish, if you're plagued by them. There is another advantage that might not be quite so evident. The files are pretty much the same as what goes off to the printer twice a year. As time moves on, many readers realise their eyes aren't as young as they used to be. Viewing articles on a 22-inch screen is a whole lot easier. You can zoom right in and have one whole column on the screen at a time. Like online newspapers, it's not quite the same as a printed copy, but the advantage is you don't have to worry about where you're going to keep the things. Further details of how to order OTN on disc is available from the RAOTC website, www.raotc.org.au. This is Andrew, VK3CAH.
You are listening to VK3OTN and associated relay stations. VK3OTN is the official station of the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club Australia Incorporated, with the monthly news and information bulletin for members and friends of the club.
It's customary to end the broadcast with a short or humorous story. So here's this month's offering entitled, How I Learned to Mind My Own Business. I was walking past the mental hospital the other day and all the patients were shouting, 13, 13, 13. The fence was too high to see over, but I saw a gap in the planks, so I looked through to see what was going on. Some idiot poked me in the eye with a stick and then they started shouting, 14, 14, 14. Yeah, I suppose that should teach me.
That's all we have for you this month, and we hope you found something of interest. Thanks for being with us, and we hope you will join in the callbacks, where callbacks are taken. The next RAOTC news and information broadcast will take place on the first Monday of next month, on the same frequencies and at the same times as today, with the exception of January. If you have missed all or part of this broadcast, or you just want to listen to it again, it is available for download from the RAOTC website. Simply go to www.raotc.org.au. Again, the website URL is www.raotc.org.au. On the right-hand side is the main menu. Click on VK3OTN Broadcasts and will be able to see the various times and frequencies of the VK3OTN transmissions by all of our volunteers, provided of course a volunteer is available. Down towards the bottom of the page is the current and previous 5 broadcasts for you to listen to. Sometimes the relay station is an automated broadcast, for example, a repeater, when no operator is available to take callbacks. Other times the volunteer operator suffers from very heavy local QIN and callbacks are not always possible. Many operators need a small amount of time to switch from playing a recorded file to using a microphone. Please be mindful of this. This is VK30TN signing clear from today's news and information session. 73 from the IOTC broadcast team.
This is VK3CSJ, Neri Warren South. Thank you for listening to this morning's editions of the WIA News and the RAOTC News. A repeat of the RAOTC News will be done tomorrow morning on the VK, on the coffee break net at 11 o'clock. Well, at least after the coffee break net by one of the fellow members there. This is VK3CSJ. We'll be broadcasting again in 30 minutes' time on Melbourne television repeater VK3RTV, and then again at 8 o'clock tonight on VK3RTV. This is VK3CSJ wishing everybody a very pleasant Sunday. Temperature is 8.7 degrees and it's just looking like a ripper of a day. Thank you for listening. Signal reports and information about the signals today, please send information to vk3csj@gmail.com. Reports to vk3csj@gmail.com. Would appreciate to see how far and wide the signal is being heard today. Monitoring the SDR up at Shepparton there, and I can see the signal is wafting in and out. But I do most of my monitoring on Paul's VK3KHZ's SDR. Which is about 30 kilometres away, to give me an idea of how things are going. Thanks, Paul. Thank you for listening. This is VK3CSJ. Good evening.